Hi, soul friends. It's Michelle with Rising Sun Oracle. I am back with another edition of Tea and Tarot. Welcome to the channel. If you're returning, welcome back. Welcome back if you're returning, and welcome if you're new. I am excited to welcome today a friend of mine that I have been familiar with for about a year, just over a little bit of a year, and I'm so excited to introduce her work to you. I am talking about Melissa of DivineScarlet. She is the creator of the Breakup deck and the Soul Compass Oracle, two wonderful decks I know you're familiar with here on Rising Sun Oracle. Melissa, welcome.
Welcome. How are you? How you doing?
I'm fantastic. Yourself?
I'm doing good. Yeah, thanks for having me.
It is a pleasure to have you. I'm so excited. I was saying to Melissa just a couple minutes ago before we started our broadcast, we're matching. We're twinning in glasses. I love it. I love it. So Melissa, introduce yourself. Tell the audience who you are and what you do and what's going on in your world.
Okay, well, I do run DivineScarlet. I do many things, actually. I have a background in psychology and astrology mainly. I do tarot, and I have made oracle decks. She showed them, but one is the breakup deck, which is, a lot of people think it's just about breakups, but I feel like you can use them anytime, like even with friends, even with people that you've been away from a long time but can't let go. So these are all about kind of like switching back into your own empowerment. And then I also do the Soul Compass deck, which is just about like all my travels and going to sacred sites and finding this energy that's also inside you. I'm not saying you need to go there, but they do have some kind of magical, kind of almost like grid lines of where they were built, that you can feel this special kind of almost vortex energy coming through them. And I do astrology. I do teach astrology. That's one of my favorite things that I do. I recently started doing something called the crystal charts too, and those are getting really big, and we have a waiting list for that right now. So the way that I do tarot and oracle cards is a little bit different. It's instead of just giving you a straight reading, we do a session that is kind of based on the reading, and then we go through it kind of like almost like a psychology session. Is that good?
Yeah, that's great. This is wonderful. Cheers to your tea.
Cheers.
So I want to quickly ask, I know that you're focusing right now primarily on the crystal grids, which is an amazing idea. I'm so excited about this project. It's combining your astrology knowledge and crystals, and I've been sharing that information with the viewers. I will do so again. I saw you had a post. The time that we are recording this, Melissa just had a post go live. I wanted to circle back real quick just to the oracle cards for a moment, if that's okay. Yeah. If you could maybe share, because you've had some experience creating the decks, can you share with us what that process was like, maybe some stories behind it?
I mean, okay, so this might run over your 15 minutes.
I'll try to go
fast. Basically, the actual process of creating the deck is kind of like lightning with me. It's just all of a sudden these things in my head just kind of just sitting there bubbling, and then all of a sudden it's just like a lightning that goes, oh, you're doing this. And that's how I am with every single project that I do. It's all of a sudden it's like ding.
But you're not alone in that. You're not alone in that. That seems to be a common response from that I'm finding from people that I've been interviewing. When you come across this, it's like it just hits you and you have to act upon it.
I literally made the breakup deck in about 2 hours. I wrote everything in 2
Wow.
hours on a piece of paper, and then gave it to my friend who does Photoshop and said, start working. and then I did the other stuff later, like finding the art and all that kind of stuff. But just like the first idea was just all of a sudden. But I did kind of have like a magical whole way of how I started it. And it kind of combines into my Sacred Site Oracle deck as well, because I actually was going through a breakup. And for some reason, this mermaid, and I feel like the mermaid is a great archetype for self-love. And I feel like she is part of the journey. to find self-love. Maybe not for everybody, but I think she is a big thing. She appeared to me in my dream and said to follow her and follow the water, and that it would help me get through to this person that we were breaking up. And I thought it was to him. It turns out it was to myself, and it had never anything to do with him at all. So I find her to be very beautiful. She's actually a mermaid, is sitting on my little sacred space over here as part of the whole journey. And I did go to a few different oceans to get more in contact with the water, to feel the mermaid energy out.
Oh, that's so beautiful to hear. Water is so healing, I find. And what an interesting concept to come across when your intention starting maybe to help others go through a breakup, but here it ended up being about you and your journey and your process and healing, it sounds.
Yeah, and that's the reason I came up with that, is like all the reasons that we forget how to be us during a relationship that might take too much of our, like, why are we worrying about the other person so much? It really starts with us. And so that's one of the things, because I also realized the biggest question that everybody breaks up and asks is, am I not good enough? Why doesn't he like me?
Yeah,
and it's just, those ideas will get you nowhere, really. So I just want to kind of help people steer them back into their own empowerment.
Thank you for doing that. It's an amazing deck. If you haven't seen it, viewers out there, get your hands on it. It's been I've featured it several times on the channel. And here, look, I'm just going to draw one randomly. This will pass soon. I love it.
I gotta get you my new deck. I'll send it to you because it's the 3rd edition. So there's a couple extra cards in it.
You were saying that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. You've done a job well done with the deck.
Thank
you.
You.
You're most welcome. I know that you have an interesting approach to reading. So I don't want to keep you too long because you've got amazing things on your desk right now with the crystal grids budding. But if you could lead us out of the interview today, the little segment today, with a little quick mini reading, it would be much appreciated. Show us how you do your work.
Okay, well, this is not a great version of how I do it, because I would go back and forth and ask questions about what I want to do is, instead of just having a reading, I want you to come away with a whole work in progress for you to do. Like, I don't want it just to be like an open-ended, like, okay, now what? What do I do? So the first card I drew today is the Sacred Lady, and this is one of my favorite decks. She just connects with me so well, and I'm not even Christian. but I love this Mary Mother Oracle, and I find this deck to connect with me so well. So this one's all about, I'll just do a light little version, is the dark mysteries. So sometimes when we go through our sufferings, people pass away in our lives, just darker things where we have attachment, we need to let go. This comes to us like a sadness. And so I just like to remind people that this is actually an initiation process into the darker mysteries of life in our world. And she invites us, she's almost like the Black Madonna, who shows like the darker side of the compassion and love that Mother Mary is the archetype for. And one more thing I'd like to add, well, 2 more things, is if you take care of yourself, you always land on your feet. That was from this deck right here. And I think a lot of people don't trust enough. So they don't trust the universe enough. They don't trust in themselves enough to be able to do anything. So I feel like if you really pay attention to yourself and what your soul's really saying, and the ego can get blocked out, you actually know everything that you need to know already. And I just want to make that really clear, because a lot of people don't. They feel confused. They need a decision, and it's really already located there. And it's just to stay quiet and still enough that they can find that and find that trust that they can be led by. And it's usually led by themselves, even though people like. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm
I,
sorry.
I appreciate the perspective because, again, as you said earlier, you're turning the focus back on the individual to empower them, to already show them that it's there. You just need to maybe hear that you have it, it's within you, and to trust yourself and the journey and just roll with the process. It starts with you. It's not about others. It's really circling back to you and making it about you.
Yes, and some people think that they need to be told what to do, and then they don't listen. So that's another reason is like, you know, you're not going to make a decision until you're ready in yourself anyways, right? So it's kind of like, that's why I like to take a step-by-step process. If they need to manifest something, then we'll talk about how to actually do that, some beginning steps to manifest and learning how to rise above, you know, just, I kind of like to think of like the bumps that happen in life is like you're driving. But when you manifest, it's like you're taking off in an airplane. So you get to avoid all those little bumps that most people go through to get there. And, you know, then you can start working your magic.
Great sound advice. I appreciate that.
So, I mean, you can ask me anything if you feel like, you know, you want a little bit more of what I was talking about. But normally we would, you know, come up with some kind of plan for you to, you know, start stepping out if you're going through a rough time, or start manifesting what you want in the session too.
I think this approach is quite wonderful and different from what we see out there, because not only are you giving some advice, but you're taking it a little bit further in that you're really wanting to work with someone to help them along their journey and give them some guidance in a different format, which is wonderful.
Right.
Thank you so much for sharing your gift with us today. It's been a pleasure to have you here with us today. Did you have any parting words that you want to share with the audience before we wrap up here?
You know, just stay still enough to listen to your own inner intuition, which we all have. And sometimes you just have to be still enough to hear it, but it's always there.
Great advice. Thank you, Melissa, for joining us today. Melissa of DivineScarlet. Her information will be posted down below and above, depending on what format we're watching this on. But thank you so much for joining us, Melissa. It's been a pleasure to have you today.
Thanks.
All right, friends, we'll take care and have a wonderful week. We'll see you next week back here on Tea and Tarot with Rising Sun Oracle. Take care, everybody.